urgently needed to reach young people in communities like yours who didn't ask to be put in unthinkable situations. Show them they're loved and not alone. Call the number on your screen or go online to safeplacetosleep.org.
Welcome to NTD Newsroom. I'm Don Ma. Major news could be coming today on autism. President Trump says it may be one of the most important press conferences he'll ever have. New details of the TikTok deal, how President Trump plans to bring the Chinese-owned social media platform under U.S. control. Tens of thousands showed up for Charlie Kirk's memorial yesterday. High-level politicians spoke about his legacy and influence, while his widow Erica preached forgiveness. We discussed this with a live guest. Countries gather at the UN General Assembly this week after several U.S. allies formally recognized a Palestinian state. We have the details. Chipmaker Nvidia announces an investment in OpenAI. The deal marks a partnership between two global leaders in artificial intelligence.
This is NTD Newsroom, live from our global headquarters in New York City.
Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us. President Trump says his administration will make an announcement today about its findings on autism. The president said he believes it will be one of the most important things his administration does. Here's Trump speaking yesterday.
Various things, but you'll see what it is tomorrow. I think it's going to be a very important news conference. And we want things to take effect immediately. You know, if there's a question, even if there's a question, you just do it, right? Well, there's obviously something artificial that's really wrong. And we think we know what that is. Vaccines are very interesting. They can be great. But when you put the wrong stuff in it, they're not. And, you know, children get these massive vaccines like you'd give to a horse. Like you'd give to a horse. And I've said for a long time, I mean, this is no secret, spread them out over 5 years.
Autism diagnoses in the United States have increased dramatically since the year 2000, raising public concern. By 2020, the U.S. autism rate among 8-year-olds was 1 in 36. The CDC reported in 2000 that the number was 1 in 150. Health Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. says the United States is in the grip of an autism epidemic fueled by environmental toxins. Decades of research have not yielded firm answers on what contributes to autism, but many scientists believe genetics, potentially in combination with environmental influences, play a role. Others attribute the increase to broader diagnostic criteria and improved public health screening programs. We're learning more about the TikTok deal that the Trump administration is finalizing with China. A senior White House official says President Trump will be signing the deal this week. Under the deal, TikTok's U.S. operations will move into a new joint venture based in the U.S. It will have a majority of American investors and owners and a majority American board of directors. On top of that, Oracle is going to serve as a security provider. It will control how American data is stored here in the U.S. on Oracle's systems and how the content recommendation algorithm works. The White House says the deal will make TikTok safe and secure for 170 million American users, save thousands of jobs, and save small businesses that depend on the app to promote their businesses. The White House says we can expect an executive order from Trump later this week. President Trump will be signing an executive order to designate Antifa as a domestic terrorist organization. Here's White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt earlier today.
The president intends to sign that executive order very soon as it's drafted, as soon as today, later this afternoon. And this is something the president campaigned on because we have seen a rise in violence perpetuated by Antifa radical people across this country who subscribe to this group. And unfortunately, it's gone widely uncovered by many in the legacy media. It also went completely ignored by the previous administration. Not anymore.
The White House says the administration will be looking into who is funding Antifa and other violent left-wing groups. Leavitt also gave more details of the TikTok deal that Trump will sign with China. but she couldn't provide the numbers or the individuals and companies involved in the deal.
TikTok will be owned by a majority of American investors and controlled by a board of directors with extensive national security and cybersecurity credentials. In partnership with the U.S. government, Oracle will serve as TikTok's trusted security provider, and they will independently monitor the safety and data security of all U.S. user data on TikTok's platform. Americans' data will be stored securely in the United States without access from China. All U.S. user data will be stored on servers operated by Oracle in the United States, protected from surveillance or interference by foreign adversaries. And the algorithm, I know this is a question many of you have had, will be secured, retrained, and operated in the United States outside of ByteDance's control.
Tonight, the president will depart to New York City to speak at the United Nations General Assembly tomorrow morning. The White House says Trump's speech will cover the renewal of American strength and his constructive vision for the world. Trump will meet with world leaders, including those from Ukraine, the European Union, and the Middle East. After these meetings, the president will attend a reception tomorrow night with more than 100 world leaders before returning to Washington, D.C. Tens of thousands filled a stadium for Charlie Kirk's memorial yesterday. President Trump, several members of his cabinet, other high-level politicians, and thought leaders spoke about the legacy Charlie left behind. NTD's Jack Bradley has more from Glendale, Arizona.
Charlie's murder was not just an attack on one man or one movement. It was an attack on our entire nation. It was an assault on our most sacred liberties and God-given rights. The gun was pointed at him, but the bullet was aimed at all of us.
A memorial held for Charlie Kirk at State Farm Stadium in Glendale, Arizona on Sunday. President Trump saying that he'll award Charlie the Presidential Medal of Freedom.
It's the highest civilian honor.
Tens of thousands of supporters traveling from across the country for an event scheduled within the span of a week. Some beginning to line up at 3 a.m. to secure a spot. President Trump, along with many members of his cabinet, spoke at the memorial, honoring the legacy Charlie left behind, including those of faith, family, freedom, and a revival of spirituality.
Charlie suffered a terrible fate, my friends. We all know it. We all saw it. But think, it is not the worst fate. It is better to face a gunman than to live your life afraid to speak the truth.
Where young Americans are actively told that everything that they were taught, that all the foundations that made our society and our civilization so grand, they were all wrong, they were all evil, that marriage is oppressive, that children are a burden, that America is a source of evil, not of good in the world. And here was this voice that inspired a movement in which young Americans were told that is not true.
He always gave the biggest microphone to the people who were most passionately aligned against him, because he believed that we need to talk to each other and that we needed to be able to say what we mean without saying it mean.
Mrs. Erica Kirk, who is now taking over Charlie's company, Turning Point USA, sends a message of hope and unity and a revival of faith.
He wanted to save young men, just like the one who took his life. That man, that young man, I forgive him.
Several attendees say Charlie's legacy and his fight for traditional values will continue to grow.
He loved his God, he loved his family, his poor little kids who I have to see now at church every day without a dad, you know, and he loved America.
I actually was talking with Charlie a couple weeks ago, and I asked him, I said, you know, I believe the greatest issue facing our country is the breakdown of the family between one man and one woman, and he said 100% agree.
Charlie valued the personal relationships and going out to campuses and having one-on-one conversations. I think that that really sparked something in the younger generation, and now everyone has an even bigger reason to come together now.
A common message we've heard at this event is that there's a change coming to America, a turning point, and that is unity amid disagreements and loving kindness amid political differences. Reporting from Glendale, Arizona, Jack Bradley, NTD News.
The tragic death of Charlie Kirk brought many together, including President Trump and Elon Musk. At Kirk's memorial yesterday, Trump and Musk were speaking together and shaking hands. Trump patted Musk on the knee and seemed to introduce him to Ultimate Fighting Championship CEO Dana White, Both Musk and an official White House account shared a photo of the pair on X captioned, "For Charlie, it was the first time the two were seen in public together since Musk left his role at Doge." A public social media spat followed, which Musk later said he regretted. Musk wrote on X about the event, "Every seat in this giant arena that isn't roped off for security is packed to the ceiling. Honored to be here." Musk also posted, quote, "Charlie was murdered by the dark for showing people the light." And now an update on the investigation into Charlie Kirk's assassination. Director Kash Patel said yesterday the FBI is meticulously investigating theories and questions into the murder. Patel wrote on X, "The investigation will touch on the location from where the shot was taken, the possibility of accomplices, the text message, confession, and related conversations." Patel says Discord chats, hand gestures observed as potential signs near Kirk at the time of his assassination, and visitors to the alleged shooter's residence in the hours and days leading up to the shooting will also be scrutinized. Patel also mentioned agents will be investigating the angle of the shot, bullet impact, and how the weapon was transported. The FBI director says the primary focus is to complete this investigation and deliver justice. The details of the assassination and possible motive have taken on major significance, given the political firestorm surrounding Kirk's death. And joining us now is Rabbi Abraham Cooper, former chair of the U.S. Commission on International Religious Freedom and Associate Dean for the Simon Wiesenthal Center. So good afternoon to you, Rabbi, first of all. Erica's public forgiveness of the alleged assassin, was incredibly remarkable. We've seen, not really, we haven't really seen something like this. It's so high profile in recent times. Can we get your first thoughts on what was going through your mind when you first heard that forgiveness?
Well, actually, what I thought about was the namesake of our institution, Simon Wiesenthal, a victim of the Nazis who lost 94 members of his family during the Nazi Holocaust because they were Jews. In his book, The Sunflower, he recalls he was brought into a tent of a dying SS officer who admitted on his deathbed that he had murdered Jews, and he wanted to confess to a Jew and to ask for forgiveness. Mr. Wiesenthal's book, he speaks with world leaders around the world, faith leaders. Every conceivable reaction is there. His response was silence. What really touched me about everything that Charlie's widow has done is to emphasize one thing, that Charlie Kirk has made it okay for young people to actually allow God into their lives, to actually challenge and discuss the possibility that faith and values are critically important. I think many people were shocked that she, before her husband had been had even been buried, had it within her to forgive the terrible price that she and her kids are going to pay. It was certainly a singular act. And tonight is the beginning of the Jewish New Year, Rosh Hashanah, the 10 days of repentance. And these fundamental questions of asking for forgiveness, of taking responsibility for one's actions, of making a commitment to a faith community, those are all highlighted between now and the Yom Kippur service 10 days from now. So although she's of another faith, there is a Judeo-Christian value system that has been at the foundation of this wonderful country we call America. And Charlie Kirk, and now his very courageous widow, have brought the issue of religion back into center focus. And if I may, as the former chairman of USERF, I think probably the Chinese communist officials are really worried today because worldwide you saw this stadium filled within a week, hundreds of thousands of people and millions of people around the world getting the message that God still counts, maybe more than ever in the modern world. And when you have societies that are controlled, atheistic societies and others that are controlled by one person at the top, what Charlie Kirk stood for and stands for in terms of his legacy is a real threat to any totalitarian regime.
And Rabbi, I would like to just play that message again of her forgiveness because I think it's just so powerful, and I'd like to have our viewers see it again.
That man, that young man, I forgive him. I forgive him because it was what Christ did and is what Charlie would do. The answer to hate is not hate. The answer we know from the gospel is love, and always love. Love for our enemies and love for those who persecute us.
And it's just so powerful, taking into consideration that it's only been maybe 2 weeks that her husband has been shot. It's not like she's been coping with this for a decade and she can finally now forgive the alleged shooter. It's just so soon. And you mentioned faith earlier, and Erica rooted her message deeply in faith, right? What role do you think it played in her being able to have such strength to forgive someone like this?
I think it does reflect the deepest religious values of her husband and herself. It shows amazing personal courage. I think for the rest of us, we certainly agree that the answer to hate is not more hate. But in the secular general world, we have to make sure to balance that with accountability. And that actually was one of the underlying messages in all of his debates around the United States on campuses. So, on the spiritual level, even though I come from a different religion, I respect a grieving wife and mother for having the courage of her belief to forgive for this horrific sin. I think the other element here is, as Charlie Kirk was a multiple impact player, if you will, in faith, in politics, in ideas, and in foundations of society, I think you want to make sure that you balance these kinds of personal, intensely personal, amazing statements, but making sure that every individual has to take full accountability for their actions.
And Rabbi Cooper, I feel like, she really set a new bar here. She is highlighting what it means to love an adversary. Can you talk to us about what impact healing will have in terms of her message here, her compassion, her faith in God? What impact will that have on the nation?
Well, she's going to be clearly an important figure for years to come in the United States, but especially among young people, and I imagine on campuses and perhaps also globally. But there's also another element that I think the Secretary of State brought up, which is that for the last decade or so, young people have been hearing, throw out the past, all of that stuff, American history, old values, they don't count anymore. They're meaningless. We have to build a new world order. And when you see the courage, bravery, and tenacity of this wonderful woman in expressing her views to the world, the toughest thing to say that she forgives the person who's destroyed everything they built up, that wellspring of strength doesn't come from a tweet or social media. It comes from the religious scriptures of her faith that were written and recorded over 2,000 years ago. That is a very powerful challenge, not only to young people, but especially to young people, to take a hard look in the mirror and say, going forward, do I need to look back, or do I just look for the latest computer technology? I think you saw the embodiment of the answer that I hope most people will come to. You need to turn to your faith, whichever faith that is, learn about it, uh, figure out your fundamental values, and then go out into the world and make a difference. We're seeing it in real time with this amazing couple, a deceased martyr, if you will, of our society, and an amazing, powerful statement from a grieving widow.
You know, Rabbi, if I'm being honest here, if I were in her shoes and the roles were switched here, I honestly doubt if I can have the strength that she showed to be able to forgive so quickly. Can I ask you, how can we translate this message of grace, forgiveness, compassion into our own daily lives?
That's a great question. And I think the best way to approach it is, thank God, the vast majority of us are not going to ever have to confront the murder of a loved one. But we have every day in the office, in our families, in our interaction, even on the sports field, in the newsroom. You have all sorts of situations, large and small, in which inevitably you feel slighted. You get upset. You begin to look down at someone as an adversary and as an enemy. I think for those of us, please God, who will never have to, if you will, confront this ultimate challenge, take that lesson, dial it back into our daily lives, and maybe let's start giving each other a little bit more room, a little wiggle room. We all make mistakes. And the question is, what do we do with our lives the minute, the moment, the day after we make those mistakes? I don't think I could or would respond the way she has, but fundamentally, a person who's been aggrieved in the worst possible way, having enough faith and enough humanity to A, reject hatred, and B, to forgive the perpetrator. You're absolutely right. These are few and far between incidents, and to see it broadcast live globally for a woman who's grieving her beloved just a few days later is really amazing. The takeaway for us should be, let's figure out the wellspring of what our faiths offer to young people, whether Jewish, Christian, Muslim, Buddhist, Hindu, etc. Look back into your past. You're going to find, I think, important guideposts that will help you as you go out into the real world and the decisions that you have to make in your human interactions, large and small. You're going to find out that God's word and God's love can make a big impact in the quality of your life and your future.
You're absolutely right, Rabbi. And for her to be able to do this in such a public fashion, you know, and knowing that the alleged shooter is watching as well, to be able to forgive him, you know, knowing that he is watching is really remarkable here. Thank you, Rabbi, for talking to us today.
Okay, and Shana Tova, Happy New Year to all of your viewers.
Thank you. Chipmaker Nvidia announces an investment in OpenAI. The deal marks a partnership between two global leaders in artificial intelligence. Stay tuned.
Discover the ancient secret to vitality and longevity with Puretang Black Ginseng. Crafted from premium 6-year-old Korean ginseng, each root is carefully nurtured for over 2,260 days, undergoing a traditional 9-round handcrafted process of steaming and drying to unlock full potency and absorption. Experience pure, natural energy with Puretang Black Ginseng. Order now at puretang.com.
Hi, I'm Amy Grant. I was living with a rare heart condition, and the doctor said if I didn't take care of it, it would become catastrophic. A few months later, I had open heart surgery that saved my life, and I owe it to the research and life-saving medical breakthroughs developed by the American Heart Association. Like so many women, I pushed through no matter what. But I've learned you have to take care of yourself in order to take care of other people.
I had a pretty normal mom life. Everything was pretty good, and it was a very happy life. I was given the diagnosis that I had peripartum cardiomyopathy, which is basically a pregnancy-induced heart failure. They told me my only chance was a heart transplant.
And the American Heart Association helped make that possible. Their research helped save me.
Please call now or go to helpheart.org. For only $19 a month, just 63 cents a day, you can help fund the next medical breakthrough, get the next person trained in CPR, and get the next hospital certified in high-quality cardiovascular care.
I am very thankful for the American Heart Association. I'm grateful for just every day that I get with my children.
Give $19 a month with your credit card, and we'll send you this special t-shirt you can wear to show you're part of a community of monthly donors working to help save more lives.
It's hard to imagine that a mom can die from pregnancy-induced heart failure, but thousands die every year. That's why your support is so urgently needed.
Any of us, every one of us, can make a modest monthly donation that actually helps and benefits everybody. Please call the number on your screen or go to helpheart.org now to become a monthly donor. Thank you.
Kids love it. Parents trust it. Obviously. Explore GJW Plus Kids Series and Ganjiong Campus courses led by expert educators. This is spectacular. Children will learn values like respect, responsibility, and knowledge in language, science, and more. Wow. All while having fun. Perfect. Subscribe today at GJW Plus Kids, where learning meets fun.
The Department of Homeland Security is warning California, Illinois, and New York, saying they must cooperate on deporting illegal immigrants. The agency said it was following up on letters sent to the 3 states on September 10th. The letters asked the states to confirm whether they would notify ICE when illegal immigrants are set for release from jail or prison. DHS said it received responses from Illinois and New York, which affirmed their refusal to comply, but had not received a response from California. ICE says it prefers to work with state officials, but will team up with federal agencies to prevent obstruction of illegal immigrant arrests. Homeland Security says it has arrested more than 400,000 illegal immigrants during his administration so far. It says 70% have criminal convictions or have been charged with crimes. Shares of some U.S. tech companies fell today. That's after President Trump unveiled fees of $100,000 per year for H-1B work visas. Companies including Microsoft, Amazon, Alphabet, and Goldman Sachs sent urgent emails to their employees with travel advisories. Cognizant Technology Solutions, JP Morgan, and Intel are among the biggest sponsors of H-1B visas. Their shares were down over 1% in pre-market trading. Here's a closer look.
A White House official said Saturday the new fee structure will first apply to the upcoming H-1B lottery cycle for new applicants and not to current visa holders or to renewals. The change, which marks Washington's highest profile attempt to overhaul the country's temporary employment visa system. It's a major flashpoint with the tech industry, which relies heavily on skilled workers from India and China. The fee announced on Friday prompted some major U.S. tech firms to advise visa holders to either remain in the country or return before it takes effect.
I think they're going to be very happy. Everyone's going to be happy. And we're going to be able to keep people in our country that are going to be very productive people. And in many cases, these companies are going to pay a lot of money for that. And they're very happy about it.
Supporters of the H-1B program say it brings in highly skilled workers essential to filling talent gaps and keeping firms competitive. Critics, who include many U.S. tech workers, argue that it will allow firms to suppress wages and sideline Americans who could do the jobs.
If you're going to train somebody, you're going to train one of the recent graduates from one of the great universities across our land. Train Americans, stop bringing in people to take our jobs. That's the policy.
Under the current system, a small fee is required to enter a lottery for the visa, and subsequent fees could amount to several $1,000s.
Chipmaker Nvidia says it will invest up to $100 billion in OpenAI. Today's announcement marks the beginning of a partnership between 2 global leaders in artificial intelligence. The tech giants signed a letter of intent to deploy at least 10 gigawatts of Nvidia chips for OpenAI's artificial intelligence infrastructure. The 2 companies aim to finalize partnership details in the coming weeks. The first deployment phase is scheduled to come online in the second half of 2026. Nvidia's investment comes days after it committed $5 billion to chipmaker Intel. Nvidia also backed OpenAI in a $6.6 billion funding round in October 2024. OpenAI says it has over 700 million weekly active users. Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy is calling airbag inflators made by a Chinese company dangerous. Called DTN, the manufacturer makes devices that inflate airbags to protect drivers during crashes. Duffy is urging the auto repair industry to examine if they have DTN products installed. Duffy said whoever is bringing this faulty Chinese equipment into the country and installing them is putting American families in danger and committing a serious crime. This comes as U.S. authorities are investigating 7 incidents where airbag parts exploded during collisions. Authorities say they think the airbags in those incidents have parts made by DTN. 5 people were killed in the incidents. It's unclear how many Chinese-made airbag components have been installed in cars in the U.S. Canada, Australia, the UK, and Portugal have formally recognized a Palestinian state. The announcement was made ahead of the UN General Assembly in New York City. Here are the details.
The United Kingdom formally recognizes the State of Palestine.
British Prime Minister Keir Starmer has announced the United Kingdom's recognition of a Palestinian state after Israel failed to meet certain conditions, including a ceasefire in the nearly 2-year-old Gaza war. London's step aligns it with more than 140 other nations, but will irk both Israel and its main ally, the United States. Alongside the UK, Canada and Australia also recognised a Palestinian state on Sunday. Others, like Belgium and France, are expected to follow suit this week at the United Nations General Assembly in New York. Speaking in the West Bank, Palestinian Foreign Minister Bassem Agabeki Shahin welcomed the decision. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said the move poses an existential threat to Israel. He has previously accused countries that recognise the Palestinian state of rewarding Hamas's monstrous terrorism. Downing Street's decision also carries symbolic weight. Britain played a major role in Israel's creation as a modern nation in the aftermath of World War II and has long been its ally. Deputy Prime Minister David Lammy has previously said Britain had a historic responsibility to facilitate a 2-state solution. It dates back to the 1917 Balfour Declaration, which pledged that the creation of a Jewish state would not infringe on Arab rights. The US has strongly opposed the recognition moves by its European allies. It has responded by imposing sanctions on Palestinian officials, including blocking them from attending the UN General Assembly by denying and revoking visas.
Not all European powers will follow suit, however. Italy said recognizing a Palestinian state could be counterproductive, while Germany said it could undermine efforts to reach a negotiated 2-state solution with Israel. Denmark says it will outline conditions for recognizing a Palestinian state at the UN Assembly in New York this week. Meanwhile, Republican members of Congress reacted to the Allies' decision over Palestinian statehood, issuing a warning in a letter. Congresswoman Elise Stefanik posted on the letter on X. It described recognition as a reckless policy that undermines the peace process. The letter says the move sets the dangerous precedent that violence, not diplomacy, is the fastest way for terrorist groups like Hamas to achieve their political aims. It asked the countries to reconsider their decision and said there could be punitive measures in response. How does Erica Kirk's forgiveness and compassion set the tone for Turning Point, USA's future? We have a panel discussion after this break.
We said we'd never give in to a meltdown.
Okay.
And we'd never babysit with a screen. We said we'd never let the toys take over.
Mariella!
Never leave the house looking, well, and never let them out of our sight. Skylar, come here. Cars get hot fast, and kids can be at risk. Before you leave the car, always stop, look, lock.
I debate all day. It's what I do. But there are some things that are undebatable. like your mental health, my own mental health. I was in a dark place when my brother passed away in a car accident. I've never been more devastated than the day I lost my mom. I was depressed, miserable, in ways I never imagined. I reached out, and my sisters came, my pastor, my therapist. They helped me get through it. I found that the more I spoke up, the healthier my mind became. The chaos that was in me began to subside. I was more focused, clear. When you love your mind, you can go so much further. That's not up for debate. Find mental health resources at loveyourmindtoday.org.
There is a road laid out for me.
Boxes everywhere. And this is gonna be Addie's room.
I am blind,
You're really gonna like it.
I hope so. Yeah.
I know this road is there for me. There is a long way.
First night here, but Amy seems cool.
Ways down by the river. I am blind, but I need not see.
I got this.
I know this road is there for me.
Okay.
If I'm really free, take me down to the river and wash me.
Charlie Kirk built a large following among young people through debate and public speaking at universities. Students in Canada share their thoughts on his assassination. NTD's Tai Chen has the details.
He did not deserve to die. Absolutely not. It's gone worldwide. It affects a lot of people in Canada too, not just the US. He definitely was an inspiration for myself. Very strong-minded, strong-willed, and yeah, he's a good voice. He's definitely an inspiration, and to many people, not just myself.
It was a really sad news when I heard about that. Even though we disagree with opinions, let's just have a debate and, talk it through. People have different opinions, but just murdering someone because you just don't disagree with the guy, I don't know, it just feels a bit wrong here, to be honest.
Here in Canada, many are reflecting at memorial services and sharing their thoughts on Charlie Kirk's legacy. His tragic passing has brought many to contemplate the importance of free speech in the country.
You have the right to speak what you want to say. And as everybody else, remember, if you don't agree there or you agree with it, we have freedom of speech. We're in a peaceful country. We're in a country that has a freedom of speech. So we should not feel under attack or feel afraid or feel threatened.
You can never kill somebody because they said something that you disagree with. I think freedom of speech is really invaluable. We should respect that.
I don't think anyone's life deserves to be taken over something like that. I hope that people can express their opinions and disagreements maturely. Free speech is still something that's important to be upheld.
We have to not be ashamed to come out and say we have a different opinion. We all have an opinion, and why should we be afraid to share our opinion, even if it might be differing? This is who we are. It's constitutionally protected, having free speech and sharing your opinions.
Kirk's legacy continues to inspire people with courage and conviction in their beliefs.
He was bold and courageous until the end. That's what I admire about Charlie Kirk.
I really respect what he stood for, and he didn't give up on the new generation. He didn't give up on them. He was going to campuses and he was spreading the truth. They took out one voice, but many voices will rise up for the truth.
As memorial services for Kirk continue to take place worldwide, Kirk's legacy continues to grow and inspire people to be courageous and stand up for their beliefs. NTD News, Canada.
Now to the UK, where a memorial for Charlie Kirk was held in London yesterday. NTD's Jane Werrell was there and spoke to Charlie Kirk supporters who came to pay their respects.
Charlie Kirk's legacy reaching beyond borders. People gathered here in London's Hyde Park to remember Charlie Kirk. It's a particularly personal loss for the founder of Turning Point UK.
Just complete shock. It's like shocking to me. I still haven't processed it. I was literally speaking to him a couple of weeks ago, briefly we exchanged text, And as someone that knew him so personally, as is always the case with loss, it takes time for you to realize that it's actually happened.
Kirk, a hero and a Christian martyr.
Kirk launched Turning Point UK in 2018.
The first place he wanted to bring Turning Point to outside of America was the UK, and that was for a reason. It's because he believed that, as he said numerous times, America was built on the ideas cultivated in Britain. And he felt that Britain has become a husk of its former self. We've lost the values that helped make this country so special. And he believed that we really needed to reconnect to that.
And I know that Charlie Kirk wanted the UK branch of his organisation to continue in paramount to America.
I wish Charlie was alive to see how many people in Britain loved him, listened to him, were fans of him. Because I think even we at Turning Point UK didn't realise how much he was loved and respected across the country.
The atmosphere here is solemn, but there's also a sense of hope from the people here that Charlie Kirk's dedication to his faith and his spirit of open debate will continue across the world.
It's crazy to live in a time where just for having an opinion, you get killed. And yeah, so I just want to show my respects to Charlie, his family, and for what he stood for.
Whoever assassinated him wanted to censor his message, and they killed him for telling the truth, but now we're going to make sure that it has the opposite reaction. We're going to peacefully make our voices heard and make sure that Charlie's legacy lives on forever.
I'm originally from Nashville, Tennessee, and I moved over here to be with my British husband, and freedom of speech is something that we speak about on a daily basis in America. The assassination it feels like a personal attack on my faith. And I think it feels that way for a lot of people, even outside of America. As I'm standing here in London, it's refreshing to see that a lot of people are standing up.
The whole world is mourning him, and it's like we knew him, and most of us didn't even know him. You know, we just knew of him. We didn't know him as such. So that's been really an eye-opener.
As people come to terms with Kirk's death, many here are determined to stand up for his legacy and values. Jane Werrell, NTD News, London.
Joining us now to discuss Erica Kirk's speech and her forgiving her husband, Charlie Kirk's alleged killer, is David Medina, a conservative commentator and founder of Project Libertas, which trains and mobilizes conservatives across the Northwest. He attended Charlie Kirk's memorial in Arizona over the weekend. And we have Xi Van Fleet, author of Mao's America, A Survivor's Warning. She survived Chairman Mao's Cultural Revolution in China and now devotes her time to warning about the parallels between what took place in China and what's unfolding in the United States today. So first of all, good afternoon to you both. And before we begin, I want to have you guys listen to this clip of Erica Kirk, forgiving the alleged shooter. I just thought it was really powerful.
That man, that young man, I forgive him. I forgive him because it was what Christ did and is what Charlie would do. The answer to hate is not hate. The answer we know from the gospel is love, and always love. Love for our enemies and love for those who persecute us.
David, I'll start with you. What were you feeling when you heard that?
Well, Don, thank you for having me. I'll just tell you, me and my daughter, my 17-year-old daughter, were sitting right off to the right of Mrs. Erica Kirk when she said that. And let me tell you something, we both lost it. We were, the whole night, the whole evening was powerful, but that specific moment when Erica Kirk showed the ultimate grace and forgiveness and the example of Jesus Christ, when she showed that in that moment, I mean, people around me and my daughter were just, tears were flowing. It was incredible to witness up close.
So can we get your reaction as well?
Yes, I was not there. And,
go ahead.
Yeah, I heard it over the radio, and it was deeply deeply touching and very, very powerful. I just want to say, and I tweeted about this, I think the only weapon that is powerful enough to defeat communism is Christianity. And it's love over hate. It is good over evil. So I think this is absolutely a demonstration that how we can defeat communism is through Christianity, through love. Because I just want to say this, the assassins or those young people support violence against conservatives. They are victims themselves. They are the victims of the deadly ideology called Marxism.
Okay, I think we can all relate to that. And David, can we get your description of what the atmosphere there was like? You mentioned that you were there with your daughter, and we saw in that footage just now that people were breaking into tears. Can you just describe what it was like, the mood there for us?
You know, Don, I'm still smiling about this because it wasn't just the mood around me and the effect it had on the crowd who was mostly crying. It was the spiritual effect. And you know, if there's anybody like your guest alluded to, Marxism, if there's anybody that knows about Marxism being implemented in America, it's me here in Portland, Oregon. We're seeing it in our universities across America. And that moment, and your guest is so right. She is so right. Christianity is the answer. Jesus is the answer, because you saw hearts melt across that stadium. I looked around me to the right and left, Don, and I mean, grown men that were military looking men. I mean, some, even the couple, the Secret Service and the security, people were a wreck. It was so powerful.
And can we get your thoughts on this as well? Can you elaborate on your earlier point of how, you know, faith can be the antidote to Marxism and other ideologies similar to that?
Yeah, this is something I have been saying for a long time. Communism is the opposite of, the polar opposite of Christianity. And so, and that has been proof historically. The first thing that the CCP did after its founding is to launch this anti-Christian movement to attack churches, to attack faithful, and to attack any church-related organization, because they understand the power of Christianity. And we can see the last 2 weeks, there's no rioting, and there's just prayers, and that is the answer, and that is the power of Christianity, and that's how we're going to defeat communism.
I mean, that is such a great point there. And David, maybe you can build on that, because I understand you went to downtown Portland to honor Charlie Kirk and said the amount of support was astounding, right? And it was mostly from liberals. So tell us more about that.
Yeah, you know, I just want your audience to know there are freedom fighters across America in deep blue cities, evil-ridden cities like Portland, Oregon, that are still fighting the good fight. And the day after Charlie Kirk was brutally assassinated, Don, I felt like it was an obligation. I had so many messages coming in on my inbox, so many people in fear going, are they just going to start doing this to all of us now, all of us Christians and conservatives and Trump supporters? And I felt an obligation to go to downtown Portland with signs. If you go look on my Instagram, that says, Charlie Kirk, thank you, Charlie Kirk. And it says, we will not be intimidated. And I'm telling you right now, was it fear? It was a little bit in fear, but you know what? It was the courage of Charlie Kirk that had influence on men like me. And I went down to downtown Portland, and I had tons of liberals that said, you know what? I didn't agree with the guy, but they gave me a hug. One liberal gave me a hug, and he's just like, we just need to love each other. I didn't agree with anything he said. My families are Trump supporters, but you know what? He did not deserve to go out like that, and we should not be killing each other. And that just lit a fire under me. And this memorial this weekend just continues to light a fire under me and millions across America. There is a revival happening, and I'm thankful for people like she and you who are doing the good work as well.
You know, it just restores a little bit of my faith in humanity, hearing your story of, you know, people on both sides coming together despite their differences. And Xi, let me ask you, what do you think Erica's message of faith, of forgiveness, of compassion, how do you expect to set the tone for Turning Point USA's future?
And I think she already set the tone. And now in the past 2 weeks, we can see what is the message the conservatives send out and what is the message that we got from the left, those poor souls. Those were indoctrinated kids and or indoctrinated people. Basically, they still justify, they try anything they can to justify the violence. And then when all failed, they just say, in open, and that Charlie deserved it. So I think the people in the middle, now they get an opportunity to see the difference. And as you showed earlier, the footage, a lot of people started to really realize, and then they are taking side now. They are rejecting the left, which by now is absolutely communist.
David, can you speak to us about the tone that Erica Kirk has set?
You know, I had a lot of men, Don, reach out to me, and they said, you know what, Charlie really inspired me, and he really gave me hope that us men in America can actually live out that dream that Charlie laid out, the Christian dream of having family, of building a family, having kids, getting married, and and having and being in love with your family. And when Charlie Kirk was assassinated, a lot of men were going, is there anybody that, who's going to lead the torch, who's going to lead the way, especially with Turning Point? And there was a lot of doubt. And I said, you know what, I think with what Charlie has said about his wife, Erica Kirk, I think we need to give it a little time and let's hear from her herself. And I'm telling you, my phone was ringing off the hook yesterday because men and friends of mine were like, oh my gosh, she nailed it. Especially my Christian friends were like, I love how she talked about the role of the wife and the husband and how they're one in the flesh. She absolutely nailed it in the speech last night. And I'm telling you right now, I feel good about the future for Turning Point USA and for America. I think Erica Kirk is going to be a force. And I really think that the left thought that it could take away that spirit with assassinating Charlie Kirk. And Erica Kirk, I think they're going to realize very soon that they made a grave, grave mistake with Erica Kirk coming in.
I think you're so right about that. And Erica has said that to counter hate, you don't use more hate, to fight hate. You use compassion, right? Something along those lines. And could you talk to us about Erica's example of forgiveness and how that could help the organization perhaps to appeal to an even wider audience, even those who may disagree with her politically?
Sure.
Yeah, this is what.
Sure. Well, go ahead. Sorry.
Okay, I'm sorry. Yeah, this is what Charlie has been doing: is open debate, talk. Let's talk. Let's not. And he said many, many times, when the talk stops, violence starts. And now we have all be part of that. The reason I think sometimes I do think that all the conservatives also are to be blamed for his death, because not enough of us speak our mind at home, in school, at work, in the open public space. So it made Charlie sound a lone voice in many ways, and he was attacked as extreme. He is not. He's very modest. What he proposed is common sense. So in order to change basically make it a real turning point, we all have to speak up. We have to speak up our mind. And this is something that I feel really strong about. When I came here to America, I thought, finally, I can speak up my mind, because in China I couldn't. Now, look what happened. Look at what happened. The left silence us, and we all practice self-censorship. We censor ourselves. We watch what we say. And when we watch what we say become lies to please the other side. And so we have to stop it. That's how we honor Charlie Kirk.
So David, do you see this as a turning point? How do we honor Charlie Kirk? What is the path forward for the country from this point on?
Well, I just want to say I'm super impressed with She Van Fleet over here. I want her to be traveling the country and doing prove me wrongs just like Charlie did. She is a firecracker, and this is exactly what you are exactly what this country needs. And I love it. And I love, I talk to people in Portland that are from communist Cuba, communist China, and they all have the same thing to say. And it's and people like she are exactly who we need speaking up. But she's exactly right. There were a lot of people who were afraid of being associated with Charlie. There was news stations, conservative news stations, I won't name the name, but that had banned Charlie for a little bit from their program. There were churches that were afraid to have voter registration drives. And so what I saw this weekend, Don, was a complete end to that. You had Chris Tomlin, you had Phil Wickham, you had Brandon Lake coming and performing, people that usually aren't outspoken politically. And those, and some of Charlie Kirk's producers said backstage, I read today that those performers said that they've never seen the spirit move like that. So yes, this is the turning point. I'm seeing it online. I saw it at that memorial. I'm seeing it move throughout the country and in the media. This is a turning point, and this was God's will. Like Erica Kirk said, this was God's will for Charlie to come home to eternity, because the revival is just getting started, and I'm so excited to be part of it with millions of others.
All right, Xi, we're just about out of time here. Any final thoughts you would like to add?
I just want to share my memory with Charlie. And so I started my activism, or whatever you call it, at a school board meeting in Loudoun County. And I gave 1 minute speech, and it went viral. I have no idea I would went viral. And I listened to Charlie Kirk every night in the podcast. And that night, I heard myself playing on Charlie Kirk podcast. And since then, he had interviewed me multiple times. In 2024, he invited me to be a speaker at a rally for Trump in Georgia. And I told Turning Point USA, one day I would love to tag along with Charlie for his campus tour. They told me, of course. And they deprived me of this opportunity. But again, I said, keep talking. And when we all do it, they can't kill all of us.
Okay, very well said, both of you. Xi, David, thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you.
God bless.
Senate Democrats have voted to extend existing levels of funding 19 times in the past 5 years. Why are they choosing to oppose the House-passed continuing resolution with only 8 days to go until a government shutdown? Our Washington correspondent, Luis Eduardo Martinez, has the details after the break.
The bladder control aisle. You won't shop here again. Your private business is your own. The constant struggle is over. Now there's a better way. It's HDIS. We home deliver bladder control products. We understand how you feel. For over 25 years, we've home delivered to many of the 20 million Americans who deal with incontinence. We offer all brands. We pay shipping and use plain, unmarked boxes. If we can help you or someone you care for, call for your free product sample pack and $45 in money-saving coupons. Our counselors will help you choose the right product. And unlike stores, we're always in stock. You'll get what you need. Satisfaction guaranteed. HDIS, the better way.
For your free sample pack with your free catalog, $45 in money-saving coupons, and free product samples, call 1-800-701-6159. That's 1-800-701-6159.
I didn't ask to lose my mother or to be abused at 5 years old. I didn't ask to be kicked out of my house with nowhere to go. I didn't ask for any of this. But I did ask for help, and Covenant House was there. Thanks to their love and support, and to generous people like you, I got what I needed to take control of my life.
For the young people who didn't ask to be put in unthinkable situations, Covenant House is there providing safety, hope, and a brighter future. Call or go online now. For a gift of only $19 a month, just 63 cents a day, you can provide hot meals, safe shelter, medical care, and love to more than 2,000 young people who sleep at a Covenant House every night. 1 in 10 young adults will experience homelessness this year. Your gift can help reach them when they need it most.
I didn't ask for my parents and my family to disown me. I didn't ask to end up in a homeless shelter. The beauty of it all is that I found Covenant House.
The need is overwhelming, but your monthly support will make sure no young person is ever turned away. Call or go online right now to safeplacetosleep.org with your gift of just $19 a month. With your monthly donation, you'll receive this soft, comforting blanket as a reminder of the warmth and safety your gift will provide a young person tonight.
Covenant House really helped me and really helped mold me into the woman I am today. If there's no Covenant House, where would I be today?
Your monthly gift is urgently needed to reach young people in communities like yours who didn't ask to be put in unthinkable situations. Show them they're loved and not alone. Call the number on your screen or go online to safeplacetosleep.org.